In the past 7 years, you've heard us talk about it, dozens of children, teenagers, people died as a result of senseless gun violence here in Jacksonville.
And Anthony, this is something religious leaders say could have been prevented. First Coast News' Crystal Bailey is live tonight. And Crystal, local pastors told you they warned the city about a growing gang problem 7 years ago.
Well, Pastor Reginald Gundy from Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church says he's tried to get the city to adopt programs like Cure Violence for the last 7 years. And while he says he's glad to see the city is taking it seriously, he's already hit the ground running with his own program, something called the Leadership Foundation.
I saw a newscast about they were going to do it, and I said, well, we talked about this years ago.
Pastor Gundy wants to put boots on the ground to help the youth and change the streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds, particularly with the help of people returning from prison.
Some things will fall on deaf ears, but we've got to try.
His approach is without the help of the police
No
or the National Guard, which he thinks could cause more tension. He says it lies within the people in the community.
And if you go to them and honestly talk to them, they're at least willing to listen to you.
Pastor Gundy says this is a health crisis, matching the motivation of the Cure Violence program, which compares cycles of violence to an epidemic disease.
First, the person that got shot family is hurting. Then the person that get caught who did the shooting, their family is hurting because they lost. So you got two losses.
Members of the Northside Coalition were there and the founder of an organization called Families of Slain Children. Beverly McLean says her son, Andre Johnson, was shot and killed in 2005.
There wasn't no help for me at that time. And I remember the Lord telling me what to do. He told me it wasn't about me.
Ever since, she's been helping families like her own by being there to prevent retaliation when a shooting occurs.
Some of them are angry and some are not. They want to go retaliate right then.
Members of the group pledged to take part in Pastor Gundy's training and encourage others to join.
I realize that at the end of the day, if I complain, I got to do something.
The church is planning training meetings over the next 30 days. Part of that training includes helping people who have just returned from prison integrate back into society. I'm reporting live for First Coast News, Crystal Bailey on your side.